All right, Shalom. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Kodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who does lead and rule well. Salutations to all you hopeful elect Akim pushing out this word in truth and in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And sincere shalom also to you Akim and Akwaf, listening and learning, preparing yourselves here in these last days. All right, and to the entire household of faith, fighting is a good fight of faith. I want to say shalom. This is your brother Dequar from the DC camp. Come back at you with another lesson. And I'm entitled this one, "The Prey Departeth Not." And just looking into the news this past week, and seeing these Edomites going crazy and pretending to be the victims, man. Just showing their hypocrisy, and I'm just thinking like, they're gonna have to pay for what they've done, man. And one of the brothers read the scripture, I believe, when we was doing class, and it just stuck out: "The Prey Departeth Not," man, because we in America, in Babylon, Syria, Egypt, Nineveh, all these different places, that our people was in captivity. It's all wrapped into one here, man. But ever since even before slavery, because the Northern Kingdom was over here when this devil sailed the ocean blue, in 1942, they say, right? Our people have been continually oppressed. All right. Now the scripture says here, "Woe to the bloody city," which I'll just read it. This is Nahum. It's on the screen too, but Nahum 3 in verse 1. It says, "Woe to the bloody city! It is full of lies and robbery." And it says, "and robbery." So lies and robbery, the prey departeth not. All right. Now, what I wanted to do was kind of go into that part when it says the prey departeth not, man. In particular, what does it mean? The oppression, the violence against us, and the systemic injustice that's been taking place. It's so ingrained in the society that we can't escape it. You got Jake out here, that's trying to find a way to be break free of it, but you can't. It's a part of these curses, and it's in the very fabric of this society. So just that, well, first it says woe, meaning destruction, to this bloody city. And this is the bloody city. You got the blood of the saints, you got the blood of the saints on your hands, man. And you're going to have to pay for that. The Lord is going to get you for that. Now it also said, that it's full of lies, Well, first, if you want to talk about Jake, you got the slavery, they pretty much used our bodies as commodities, man, and our lives is treated as expendable. And the bloody city, it had a lot of violence. In fact, let me go here. This is AI mode on Google. And I typed in the continued oppression of blacks. I just typed in, just talking about blacks since slavery, because that's the language they understand. And it says the continued oppression of black people since the end of slavery is rooted in systemic racism that has manifested through legal, social, and economic structures. So this is something that they know about. Following emancipation, new forms of subjugation replaced slavery, denying black Americans equal rights and opportunities and creating lasting disparities in wealth, education, health, and justice. Now, because you got right now you got Trump talking about cleaning up the inner cities, where Jake lives at, because it's crime there, but they don't acknowledge the reason that, because they know that where there's poverty, there is crime. They don't acknowledge the things that they did to get Jake into that position. Not excusing Jake, But what I'm saying is they played a role in it. You know, now they got all these records of what they've done to us. You know, starting with slavery, and what have they done? You know, they got affirmative action, DEI. You know, but all those things. You know, like the scriptures say, if he does good, he don't do it willingly, and there's something attached to that, man. You know, all those things didn't really help Jake, and it didn't make them Jake become independent. You know, we still, the scripture says what? Now I'll get it real quick. Now I'll hop back to this. You know. This is Proverbs 22 verse 7. It says, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. All right, so they want us to continue to come to them for the one of all things, and this is why they had the whole segregation thing, that whole movement, that civil rights movement. You know, it was set up. Okay, but anyways, let me keep going. What is this? It says, immediately following the Civil War, oppressive laws and social violence emerged to maintain white supremacy, Edomite supremacy, and restrict the newfound freedoms of black Americans. All right, they got the black codes. You know, it says from 1865 to 1866, which we know it lasted longer than this. It says southern states passed black codes to control labor and lives of formerly enslaved peoples. These laws forced black people into low-paying agricultural jobs, created restrictive vagrancy laws that led to unpaid labor and denied basic rights like serving on juries. First of all, let me look up subjugation, you know, just so people know what it means. All right. It says that the action of bringing someone or something under domination or control. All right. Vagrancy. It says the state of living without a settled home or regular work, wandering from place to place, and living by asking for money or food. Life as a vagrant. So this is what they created, you know, so that Jake could be in this position, and you still see the effects of it today. You know, it says Jim Crow laws after Reconstruction era ended in 1877. A system of state and local Jim Crow laws legalized racial segregation across the South. These laws enforced separate but equal public facilities, which were always inferior for black people. They also systematically disenfranchised black voters through poll taxes, literacy tests, and violent intimidation. Okay, which is a lot deeper than just that. This is just super surface level, watered down level of it. But I wanted to touch on this part. The racial terrorism organizations like the Ku Klux Klan use widespread violence and intimidation and lynchings to terrorize black communities and enforce social order, which still happens today. Right? This is a part of the continued injustice. You know, that is upon our people. Slovakia. Yeah. You got housing segregation, which, you know, widening that wealth gap, mass incarceration, you know, health, you know, it's a lot. All right. It's a lot that these devils have done, man, you know, to keep our people in this inferior position. All right. But there's a constant victimization when it comes to us in this place. And when it says pray, you know, that suggests what? Us, I'm talking about you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans to be vulnerable people, you know, because it's why we known as the fatherless, because we without, you know, a power to protect us, you know, until now where the Lord is returning unto us, gave us back the knowledge first, and then he's going to actually physically deliver us, you know, but we vulnerable, we in danger in this place, man. You know, at any moment you could get pulled over and your life can end. Or you could go to, and they can arrest you and your life can end there. Like, and nothing's going to happen. You know? The scriptures say that hid in prison houses and none saith restore. Let me get that. Isaiah 42:22, it says, but this is a people robbed. Again, that's that robbery. And spoiled. They are all full of them snared in holes. And they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth. For a spoil, and none saith restore. All right? Nobody's coming to our aid. Here it is. With the so-called Jews, they got money. They got a lot. It continues to this day getting reparations. The Japanese, they getting continued help, but Jake doesn't get those same things. So when it says that it departeth not, it's showing that we haven't escaped, and we haven't escaped these circumstances that we've been put in. We still in the same place when you look at it. And I'm talking about us as a whole, not the few little, the athletes or the entertainers, the few little figureheads, because you got some of our people that's still well to do, but as a whole, Jake is down, so we're in a perpetual state of suffering, all right, and subjugation, as I read. Okay, so ultimately, Jake is trapped, all right, in a state or a cycle of exploitation. Man, let me look that up. Cycle. All right. Then this is what they say about traffickers and abusers, man. This is abuse. All right. Let me get this. I'm typing meaning so it gets the broad term. A cycle of exploitation describes a repeating pattern where one party, the exploiter, uses another person for their own gain, leading to harm and continued subjugation of the victim, often within relationships or social structures. This cycle is characterized by repeated stages of abuse, guilt and reconciliation, and tension building, creating a dynamic that maintains control and prevents the victim from escaping. And this is what you can see it playing out right now, and what's going on today. The exact stages can vary, but they are generally involved in abuse/exploitation. The exploiter initiates aggressive, controlling, or oppressive actions to gain something from the victim, such as resources, labor, or emotional manipulation. Guilt and excuses. The exploiter experiences guilt, often stemming from fear of consequences rather than empathy, and rationalizes their abusive behavior with excuses or by blaming the victim. And that's what they're doing now, saying, white man, fight back, or we'll be extinct. Normal or reconciliation phase. The exploiter attempts to restore peace, may offer apologies, or create a false sense of normalcy to regain control and prevent the victim from leaving. Tension building and planning. The abuser's thoughts turn to the victim's perceived wrongdoing, planning how to assert dominance, which leads back to a new phase of abuse. The repeated nature of the cycle leaves the victim feeling trapped, damaged, and emotionally or physically harmed. This dynamic can occur in various contexts, including intimate relationships. Now, let me type in see what they got. Saying the same thing. Same thing. That's all they got. See, they don't go too deep into it, man. But that's what's happening. All right. So we gotta endure. We got the enduring, meaning it's continuing oppression, man. This is where the powerful gonna continue to prey on us, man. They prey on the weak. Yeah, we are the weak right now. We don't have any power. All right, and we remain so over time till this day, as as Deontay Wilder said, till this day, man. So it's designed to keep us in this vulnerable position, man. You know, and we're not able to find that restoration, because the only person that's going to save us is Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man. You know, we can't escape this injustice, man. Even in their justice system, man. You know, this is the let me get another scripture. This is the mindset of this devil, man. This is Micah 2 in verse 1. It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hands." See, they got the power to do so. All right? They are the powerful in this situation. They are the mighty. It says, "And they covet fields, and they take them by violence, and houses, and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage." All right? So they pretty much, they took your wives, your children, everything away from you, man. You know, and then they still blame you, man. You know, so that's the predatory nature of this devil, man. You know, and this is how he exploits the weak in this situation, us. You know, this is a cruel undertaking. Okay. You know, but this was a part of what this gospel is about, because it's going to come to an end, and we actually do have a power. You got to turn to your right power, you know, for this, man. You know. Let me see. Another one. This is Ecclesiastes 4 verse 1. It says, "So I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold the tears of such as were oppressed, and they had no comforter. And on the side of their oppressors there was power." Again, they got the power, man, but they had no comforter. You know, and that's what's happening, man. But see, the Lord sees what's happening, man. The Lord sees, and there's one more powerful, or one more mighty than they, or higher than they. It's also in the Ecclesiastes, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yeah, Ecclesiastes, the next chapter, 5 and 8. It says, "If thou seest the oppression of the poor, and the violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter, for he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they." All right. So listen, we actually do have the higher power, and that's you know, for as much as they want to say we're no people, and you know, we just, you know, the scum of the earth, we just the worst of the worst, right? But we actually are the Lord's chosen people. You know, we are the Israelites, and this is what they even want to take that from us, man. You know, but this is what us knowing that, and coming back into this gospel, this is what we need to hold on to, man. You know, because now we know that this is not going to last forever, and then the Lord is going to do something about it, man. So all we have to do is teach this word. You know, continue to teach this word, you know, and leave it until, like the scriptures say, until the Lord rise up to the prey, man. You know, this is going to the book of Isaiah 49. I mean, this whole chapter is fire, but I'm gonna start at 24. It says, "Shall the prey be taken from the mighty, or the lawful captive delivered? But thus saith Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I will contend with him that contendeth with thee, and I will save thy children." All right. So in this situation, in this scripture, we are the prey, and they are, and we are the captives, and they are the mighty, and they are the terrible. All right. So we the captives and the prey, and they the mighty and the terrible, man. Let me look up that. Shabbai. It says, "A person who has been taken prisoner or an animal that has been confined. I mean, that's how they look at us, you know. And prey, booty, jaw. What the? It says, an animal that is caught and killed by another for food, plunder, or in a biblical use, a prize. You know, a victim. Okay? It didn't say that because of, you know, taking it about the food. You know? This man's a tyrant, man. You know, but the Lord is going to contend with them. The Lord is going to deliver us, man. You know? So that's all we got to hang our head on, man. This is Jeremiah 15 and verse 15 and 15 is the start of Jeremiah's prayer. I'll start at 15. It says, O Yahweh, thou knowest, remember me, and visit me, and revenge me on my persecutors. Take me not away in thy long suffering. Know that for thy sake I have suffered rebuke. Thy words were found, and I did eat them. Well, you know, this, a lot of it goes to talking about Jake, but it can go to these devils too, you know. Thy words were found, and I did eat them, and thy word was unto me the joy and rejoicing of mine heart. For I am called by thy name, O Yahweh, Bashim Al-Shah, power of hosts. Let me highlight that scripture, you know, because that's how we feel, man. It says, I sat not in assembly of mockers, nor rejoiced. I sat alone because of thy hand, for thou hast filled me with indignation. Why is my pain perpetual, and my wound incurable, which refuseth to be healed? Wilt thou be altogether unto me as a liar, and as waters that fell? You know, and he won't. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, if thou return, then will I... Hold on. Because I don't want to read the whole thing. Well, I'll just keep going. Then will I bring thee again, and thou shalt stand before me. And if... Oh, this is what the Lord's saying. And if thou take forth the precious from the vial, thou shalt be as my mouth. Let them return unto thee, but return not thou unto them. And I will make thee unto this people a fenced brazen wall, and they shall fight against thee, but they shall not prevail against thee. For I am with thee to save thee and to deliver thee, saith Yahweh. And I will deliver thee out of the hand of the wicked, and I will redeem thee out of the hand of the terrible. That's what I wanted. The Lord's going to redeem us out of the hand of the terrible. Okay? Oops. Where is that? Yeah, this is Job 5 and 15. It says, but he saveth the poor from the sword, from their mouth, and from the hand of the mighty. So the poor have hope, and iniquity stoppeth her mouth. All right, so we got hope, man. You know, even if it doesn't seem that way, we have the hope. We gotta trust in this word, man. You know, and that's why these devils is going crazy the way they are, man. You know. So, yeah. Let me get this other scripture. This is one of my favorite scriptures. Exodus 21 and 16, it says, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. So the fact that we still here, you know, and still going through this oppression, hey, this is in violation of the law, man. We have a just Lord that's going to balance those scales, you know, for lack of a better term. Okay? So this is what we're looking forward to, as the scriptures say in Revelation, and I'm going to get it. Whoa. Oh, snap. Hold up. All right, this is Revelation 13 and verse 10. It says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. All right, and this is what we're looking forward to, man. You know, so this is our beacon of hope, this word, man. And this is what they want to, they send the vocab, they want to send these Christians, they want to try to send them to overthrow your faith. But this is going to come to pass. All the words of the Lord is going to come to pass, and the Lord is going to deliver us. We just got to stay the course, man. You know. And then they're going to get found red-handed. They're going to be caught red-handed, man. You know, which is going to aid to their destruction. All right, so with that, Lord willing, that was edifying. Just wanted to mention that, you know. Until the next lesson, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushai Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash. I want to say Shalom.